Hey guys, it's Marshall Mathers the Fourth here, back to you today with another video. And in today's video, this will be a part 2 or follow-up video to my video titled Why I'll Probably Never Date or Marry a Black Woman. And in this video, I would like to start out by saying the first of many reasons being because I'm a very broken, damaged, shattered person emotionally and mentally, and I've been suffering for the past 8 years in my life ever since I was 15 in the year 2012. And the older that I got and all the years that have passed since then, since that age and since that year, my problems and issues within myself have only gotten worse, only got more extreme and severe over time. Of course, not like all of a sudden or just like in a little bit, like over a long period of time, over 8 years, because 2012 was of course and obviously 8 years ago as of 2020. And you know, knowing and recognizing how broken and damaged and shattered that I am as a guy and a person emotionally and mentally beyond the point of repair, honestly, it would not be fair or right of me to get with a black woman, because if I were, I would literally just drag her down to my level. And I would never forgive myself for something like that. I would never be able to live with myself if I knew that I was guilty and responsible for dragging a black woman, even if she did really love me and care about me or whatever, down to my level. That just would not be fair of me. It would not be right. It would not be okay whatsoever. Especially knowing that black women, when I look at them in America, they're successful. They're winning. They're living life to the fullest. They're living every moment and every day as if it's their last day alive or their last day on earth. They're just getting and gaining so much out of life. They're doing and accomplishing so much in their life, whereas I myself am not doing jack shit. And it's not like it's my fault either, because of where I live. For example, I live in the middle of nowhere. I live in the fucking country. I don't have a driver's license. I don't have my own vehicle. It's not like I even have money to pay or buy my own vehicle for myself to be able to drive if or when I even get my driver's license. There are no job opportunities anywhere near where I live, since I live in the middle of nowhere. And I mean, the house that my dad bought is a mobile home, and a piece of fucking shit mobile home, much worse than even the shittiest, trashiest houses that many black Americans live in the hood in. Even those houses, honest to God, look better than the mobile home that my dad bought himself, which was also an absolute ripoff. And it was $150,000. Or actually, no, it was $151,000 for a mobile home from like the 70s, which is also in an area which used to be, I guess, a while ago, a Christmas tree farm. Right across the street from a fucking cow dairy farm, a big cow dairy farm, and a lot of times it smells like shit. You can literally smell cow shit many days of the year, many months, because, of course, we live right across the street from a fucking cow dairy farm. So that's no surprise there. But, you know, I do know that the reason why black women and even black people in general are so very successful in America and are accomplishing so much and are just winning at life all around and getting and gaining so much out of life, living life to the fullest, just living it up, living every day and every moment as if it is their last day on earth. I know that they're able to do that because they had way more resources and materials from the start, from the beginning of their lives, than compared to me. And one of the many privileges that black women themselves have, even more than me being a white guy, is the fact that the majority of them, not all of them, I know that, but I know very well for a fact that most of you black women, as well as black men, have the unfair advantage, privilege, and experience, and chance and opportunity and all that to be raised in big cities all across the United States of America. And when it comes to the big cities you live in, the majority of you live in, of course, the most popular, the most overrated cities in this nation. The cities that many rappers, for example, male rappers and female rappers, specifically black rappers, love to shout out or give praise to or mention in a lot of their songs or music videos or whatever, especially if they are from a certain big city. They always have this thing about like repping the city they're from. And when it comes to people who get to be raised in big cities, I'm not saying that that automatically guarantees and promises they're going to have a life of leisure and fun and excitement and wonderful things and success and all that. But for the majority of the people who do get the chance and the privilege, experience, and opportunity of being raised in a big city, regardless of the state, for at least most people, it does guarantee and promise and determine that their future lives will be successful, will be exciting, fun, wonderful, awesome, amazing, and all that. And honestly, if I'm going to be real with black women here, I honestly hate you, and I'm angry at you. And at least I'm being upfront about it instead of pretending and acting as if I just love and care about everyone, even people who had way more opportunities and privileges than compared to me. And it honestly annoys me that so many black women think and believe that just because I'm white, that automatically guarantees, promises, or determines that, oh, I'm gonna have like more privileges and opportunities than compared to black women and black men or whatever. And that's a load of bullshit, because it doesn't. And it certainly didn't promise, guarantee, or determine any success in my life. I mean, just look at me. Look at where I am at. Look at my current life situation and circumstance. It's very bad. And honestly, it's much worse than even the majority of Black Americans, the majority of Mexican Americans, Asian Americans, Muslim Americans, Indian Americans, Native Americans, and even, of course, and obviously most of all, white Americans, being my peers, even white Americans that are strangers that I never met, still are technically my peers because they're of and from the same race, they're my people or whatever, my kind. And obviously, if there's going to be anyone who's going to be in a way better place in life, emotionally, mentally, physically, and financially, it's bound to be white people. Most white people anyways. And sadly and unfortunately, I am one of the few white people who just had a really piss poor shit upbringing since I was a kid. Because of the environment I was raised in, the areas I was raised in, and, you know, I just never really had much to go on in life. And so just because I'm white, just because my skin color is white, or I'm a white person or a white guy, a white American, didn't promise, guarantee, or determine any sort of success in my life. Seriously. I'm not even kidding. And, you know, when I say that I hate black women or that I'm angry at them, I mean that because I am extremely severely jealous and envious of even black women, as well as black men, equally. Because so many of you black Americans, millions of you, have the opportunity, have the chance, have the privilege, and have the experience compared to me or unlike me of being able to be born as well as raised in a big city, regardless of the state. And even if you were born maybe in a city but moved later on in your childhood or teen years, you will still move to another big city, if anything. And it's just literally so unfair to me that I never had the chance, opportunity, privilege, or experience myself personally of ever being raised in any big city that I wish I could have been since I was a baby or a child or in my early teens at the latest. I never had that for myself. I never had that experience. I never had that kind of upbringing as much as I wish I could have. More than anything, as much as I would have loved to, and as much as that would have made me so much more happier, content, grateful, thankful, and appreciative of my life, of my upbringing, of what I would have been given or offered or born into or whatever since I was a baby or whatever. And that is why I just really have it in for so many black Americans in America, because I can't act or pretend like so many of you haven't had it better than me, haven't had it easier than me, at least in some ways. Obviously, I'm not trying to deny that you guys do have hard lives, you do have difficult times, you guys do suffer, and I am not in any way, shape, or form trying to downplay any suffering or any hardships that any of you black Americans go through or face in your lives personally compared to mine. Please do not get that intention. But when I say that you have it easier than me in some ways and better than me, like, I have a point there. Because after all, the majority of you, or in other words, most of you, time and time again, get to be raised in big cities, which not only guarantee, promise, and determine that, oh, guess what? You're probably going to live in a very diverse place. Like, you're not just going to be around and surrounded by and interact with and make friends with and be in the physical presence of people of other races and cultures, but you're also going to get used to them, familiar with them, and normalized to them, just as you are with your own kind, your own people, and your own families or whatever. That's something that I myself never got to experience. I never had that opportunity or chance. I never had that privilege or advantage. I missed out on that growing up since I was a kid and even teenager. I was excluded from that, isolated and alienated from that. I was deprived and underprivileged and robbed of that, of ever experiencing that wonderful, amazing, awesome thing, which is very common, very popular, and overrated. Like, it is a very common, popular, overrated thing for most people, at least, to experience diversity in their lives or live in very super diverse places, which I never got to. And so, of course, how do you think that's going to make me feel? How do you think it's going to make me feel knowing that Black Americans got to interact with, make friends with, socialize with, be in the physical presence of, get used to, familiar with, and normalize to people of other races and cultures, and not just their own? Not just be around all the time, 24/7, their own people or their own kind or their own families, because obviously that would get old really fast. You guys would probably be sick and tired of that. You'd probably long and yearn for something new, something you're not used to, like a breath of fresh air. And how do you think it's going to make me feel knowing that, like, my peers, for example, being white people, of course, my own kind, the race that I'm from myself, most of them got to experience diversity since they were kids and teenagers growing up, but I didn't. And that is the sad, tragic, unfortunate reality of my life that I've had to deal with, that I've had to live with, that I have pretty much had to accept, even though it has broken me so much to the core, crushed me, damaged me, and shattered me so much emotionally and mentally beyond the point of repair. Especially because of the fact that I wanted to experience diversity, but I didn't even know that until I was 15 in 2012, which was the year and age that I realized and I started seeing and thinking about everything I was deprived and underprivileged of, everything I was missing out on, everything that I was being robbed of, all the many things in life experiences that so many other millions of people, regardless of their race, get to have or experience themselves. And it's just unfair. It's not right. And also, like, all throughout my teens, I longed and yearned and craved and desired and wished to live in a black community, live amongst black people. I wanted so badly to be a part of their culture, part of their environment, part of them, pretty much. I wanted to live in their neighborhoods. I wanted to go to their schools. I wanted to go to their churches. I wanted to work at jobs with as many of them as possible. And I just wanted to be just around them and surrounded by them as much as possible. But I didn't have that. And over time, over many years of not having that and just going through so much pain, suffering, torment, torture, agony, anguish, crippling depression, stress, worry that I would never be able to have that experience or have that life that I longed for and wished for and yearned for, craved and desired and wanted for so long, which I obviously didn't get, clearly. And it took a toll on me. It took a massive toll on me emotionally and mentally. And gradually over time, sadly, it made me evolve into, not obviously all of a sudden or right away, but over time, over many years, 8 years to be exact, it slowly and gradually made me begin to hate those people, hate that race, be angry at them, be jealous and envious of them. And I'm guilty of that. I am absolutely guilty of hating and being angry at Black Americans. If I'm going to be honest here, if I'm going to be straightforward, if I'm going to be real here, I do. Because it just frustrates me so much that I never had the same privileges and opportunities and experiences that so many Black Americans have themselves. And when I look at so many of them, I just can't help but think, man, look how exciting and thrilling and interesting and fascinating and intriguing and awesome and cool and incredible their lives are compared to mine. And I know it's not good to compare yourself or your life to somebody else's, even if it's a group of people, but I do. And I'm also guilty of that. And I've been doing that for so many years, even to my own kind, and even other races of people. And it just has broken me to my core, as you can all see. And I wanted to be a part of that action. I wanted to be a part of that excitement. I wanted to be part of their lifestyle, their culture, their community. I wanted to be a part of their people, honestly, honest to God. But I never did, and I never could. And now I feel like it's too late, because this year not only has been one of the worst years for me, personally, and of course it has been for everyone, but, you know, at the beginning of this year and even the middle of this year, I didn't have these feelings or thoughts. These thoughts and feelings didn't really take hold of me until late in this year, because I started thinking and realizing, wow, I'm 23 years old. I'm almost 24, and I still haven't ever experienced living in a big city like I wish I could have for so many years, and now I hate the shit out of them. And I never experienced diversity, not to the extent that so many other white people have themselves, who I hate so much and I'm angry at, and I'm just absolutely furious, jealous, and envious of, because they got to experience something that I didn't, that I missed out on, that I was excluded from, that I was robbed, deprived, and underprivileged of, isolated from, alienated from, and distanced from ever experiencing myself. And it hurt me in the long run. It really did. But anyway, I know I'm getting kind of off topic here, but anyway, let me backtrack a bit. So the other reasons why I don't think or believe I'll ever date or marry a black woman is because also, think about it yourselves as black women. A lot of you, not all of you, but a lot of you are street, you're hood, you're bougie. And a lot of you are very prideful and boastful of being savages, ratchet, moody, sassy, hood, street, bougie, or whatever. And when I think of you black women who are like that, I think to myself, well, I cannot keep up with that. I cannot connect with that. I cannot relate to that or resonate with that. I cannot find anything myself that I have personally in common with women who are like that, who are obviously and clearly so very different than me culturally. And it's not like that's their fault, and I'm not blaming them for that or judging them, so please don't get that attention. But they are very different than me. Skin color wise, culturally wise, the environments and lifestyle they were raised in were so very different than the ones I was myself. Think about it. Like, I was raised in probably the most humble and meek upbringing that any white person or any other person of any other race, if they just so happen to be raised in this kind of environment like I was myself. Most of my childhood, I was raised in the country. And then most of my teens, and a little bit in my early 20s, I was raised in a small, medium-sized town, I don't know, smallish, medium town that was predominantly, or mostly, in other words, white, and where there was practically and pretty much no diversity of any kind. And if there was, it was only something like maybe a couple or a few Mexican Americans here and there. Other than that, nothing. Literally nothing. Pretty much everyone else white. And most black Americans, they don't like small, medium-sized towns. They're in love with big cities. They're in love with the city lifestyle, the city culture, the city environment, the people, places, and things in the city. They love to brag about cities. They love to show them off on their social media accounts. They love to be all boastful about them. And you know what? I can honestly see why they are. I understand why they are, because after all, anyone who pretty much had the privilege, opportunity, chance, and experience of being raised in a big city is bound to be all high and mighty, all proud and prideful, all boastful, just such a show-off, and will love to brag about their environment and everything they have or ever had. And that pisses me off. And that just tortures and torments me more, because I never got to be raised in a big city. I never got to live in one growing up. Hell, I never even got to visit that many. And that's another thing so many black Americans get to do. they'll be raised in a big city, and then they'll travel and visit other big cities to party in and soak up the culture and environment and whatever in another big city, and just go exploring like it's a big adventure to them, because they have the money to do that. They have the resources and materials needed to do something like that, which is really unfair to me because I never did myself. But yeah, I hardly have anything in, well, honestly, I don't think I have anything in common with black women. I mean, you tell me yourselves, how in the fuck am I going to be able to relate myself to women of a certain race who are street, who are hood, who are ratchet, who are sassy and moody, who are savages, who are bougie and love to be all high and mighty, proud, prideful, and boastful about how bougie they are, or how savage they are, or how street and hood they are. And you know, black women, they're way more mature than me. I mean, honestly, and this is actually a compliment to you black women. You women are way more mature than me, and honestly better than me. And you sure as hell are way cooler than me, and than I'll ever be in my entire life, because I think it's safe to say and pretty obvious and clear that black Americans are by far the coolest fucking race to ever walk or exist the face of this planet. And it's not even hard to see why. Except I can't relate to them. I can't connect with them. I can't have anything in common with them. I would not ever be able to fit in with them. And sadly, it looks as though it's too late anyway. And, you know, I just know for an all-around fact, I would never be able to keep up with black women. Like, with all due respect, I would never be able to keep up with you women. Knowing how hard a lot of you are because of the dangerous, violent environments and lifestyle that many of you are raised in and brought up in or whatever, or grow up in, and how so many of you are bougie, sassy, moody, savages, street, hood, whatever you want to call it. That also right there, like, I can't keep up with that. I cannot keep up with that. I'm sorry, but I can't. I literally cannot. Because I'm not street myself. I'm not hood myself. And I'm not city material. And I would never be able to move to this city because it would eat me up. I'm too weak to even live in any city of any kind, anywhere, any place, in any state. I'm too weak. It would just eat me up and spit me out. And I sure as hell would never be able to fit in with black Americans. That is too late. And, you know, the only white guys that I could honestly even ever imagine who even would have a chance or a shot at being with a black woman are, of course, city white guys who pretty much talk black, act black, behave black, walk black, dress black, and all that. Like, because when I think of white city guys, they try to act pretty much the same way as black Americans. Because they're so in love with their culture and obsessed with it and addicted to it and idolize it. Like, white city guys use the same slang that black people do, try to talk in the same sort of accent, try to have the same behavior or mannerisms, try to dress the same way. And, you know, those are really the only white people at the end of the day that black Americans even really love, respect, and care about. Who get them, who understand them, who are like them. And when I think of white city guys, I think, man, yo, I'm a white city guy, bro. I'm all cool. Like, I'm dope, just like black people. Of course you are. You are, and you're right. And honestly, anyone raised in a city, a big city, whether they're white, black, Mexican, Asian, Muslim, Indian, whatever, Native American, they all act pretty much the same. Street, hood, cool, loud, proud, boastful, bunch of show-offs. Love to brag about everything you ever have or everything you ever had. And you're like, all the experiences you have or ever had yourselves in your lives personally. And I can't connect with that. I can't relate to that. I can't have anything in common with that. I'm not like that at all myself. Because I never had the chance, opportunity, privilege, or experience to be. And that's the truth. And, you know, but like I said, like when it comes to white guys who will probably be able to get with black women, if anything, it's city white guys. If anything, just without a doubt, city white guys. Or city Mexican American guys, or Asian American, or Muslim American, Indian American, Native American, whatever. Like, not me. I can't. Never gonna happen. Never going to happen for me at all. And plus, what makes me even think I have the right to be with a black woman? I don't deserve one. I'm not worthy enough of having one. And plus, I'm not used to black women at all. I'm not used to black men or black women or Mexican Americans or Asian Americans or Muslim Americans, Indian Americans or Native Americans. I'm not used to any of you. I am only used to and familiar with and normal to white people. My own kind, my own race. It sucks, but that was the only race that I was surrounded by growing up. Because of the areas and environments that I lived in. And here's another thing that I also want to say, that, and it's why I'll probably never get to date or marry a black woman. Because honestly, I do not think or believe deep down inside black women actually would ever want to date or marry just on their own terms, on their own choice and decision and all that, a white guy or a Mexican guy, an Asian guy, Muslim guy, Native American guy, Indian guy, whatever. Because I do strongly believe, deep down inside, at least for most black women anyways, maybe not all of them, but definitely most of them, deep down inside, they still want black guys. And I don't judge them. I can't say I blame them. I totally understand and get that, because after all, that is the race of men that you black women mostly are used to, mostly are familiar with, mostly are normal to, because they're of and from the same race. And that makes the most logical sense at the end of the day. And not to mention that you just want black men, and I see what you black women are trying to do here. I know that you hope and want and are trying to remain optimistic for black men to come around and start admiring you once again. Start loving, caring about, respecting you, looking out for you, and protecting and defending you black women. And because they're not, and they're starting to date and marry outside of their own race with like white women or Mexican women, Asian women, Muslim women, Indian women, whatever. Because black men are doing that, it's obviously enraging black women, and it's starting to make them hate black men. See, you guys are guilty too. I mean, you guys hate each other. So, I mean, everyone is at least guilty of some level or amount of hatred. I'm not the only one. Even though I may have a lot myself, I am not the only one. And at least I can admit it. At least I can be upfront and real about it. But anyway, like, you black women are obviously very angry, very pissed off, very enraged, very frustrated, and maybe even full on and flat out hate black men because they're not admiring you anymore. They're not loving you, caring about you, respecting you. They're not praising you. They're not looking out for any of you. They're not protecting and defending any of you, and they're starting to pretty much move on from you. They're starting to date and marry, like I said, outside of their race. They're starting to leave you black women in the dust, in the shadows, and starting to move on to white women, or Asian women, or Mexican women, or Indian women, Native American women, or Muslim women, or whatever other race of woman. And so you black women are getting the idea yourselves to do the same thing. So you're trying to also look for admiration from other races of men elsewhere. Whether it's admiration that a white man is giving you, a Mexican man, an Asian man, an Indian man, a Native American man, or a Muslim man. Like, as long as it's not a black man, you're looking for admiration, love, respect, care, praise, and whatnot from other races of men. And so you're trying to give other races of men a chance with you to date and marry you, possibly, or maybe, or whatever, so you can use that to get back at black men. You black women are trying to get back at black men. You want black men to be jealous and envious that, oh my God, look at this white cracker dating one of our beautiful black queens. He doesn't deserve her. He's not worthy of her. Or whether it's a Mexican man, or an Asian man, a Muslim man, or whatever other race of man, as long as it's not a black man, you black women want to have you women back in their clutches. You want black men to come running back to you and to be in your clutches. You want them to come crawling back and pleading for forgiveness. You want them to be sorry. You want them to start praising you again, admiring you, loving you, caring about you, respecting you, protecting and defending you, and looking out for you. And because black men aren't doing that, you black women are like, you know what? I'm getting pissed off. I'm getting sick and tired of this. I'm getting fed up. I'm going to go date and marry a white man, or a Mexican man, or an Asian man, a Muslim man, a Native American man, an Indian man, or whatever other race of man. So I can make black men who didn't want me, who didn't admire me enough, praise me enough, love me enough, care about me enough, protect and defend me enough, and look out for me enough. I want to make them jealous and envious. I want to make them angry. I want to make them furious, because I want to get back at black men. And I see a lot of black men talk about this. And you know, I can also prove even more so my point, because, for example, there was a video recommended for me on YouTube which was about this black woman who is married to a white man, and even after being married to this white man, she was still bashing and attacking and lashing out against and at black men. If that doesn't prove what I'm talking about or my point, I don't know what will. And I see a lot of black male YouTubers talking about this same shit that I'm talking about right now. And not to There was also another video one time that I did see by this one black female YouTuber who was talking about this one like black female celebrity who said on her Twitter account, white men were the first to make me feel beautiful. And she said that to try to shame and bash and put down black men as a whole. And of course, it got a lot of attention from black men, and they started going after her and trying to judge her, ridicule her, whatnot. And she didn't care. Like, she didn't care, because this was her whole point. And this was also a different black woman, but a celebrity, and I forgot her name, but she said on her Twitter, white men were the first to make me feel beautiful. And then this other black woman who married a white guy, and yet she was still bashing and attacking and lashing out against black men. So, I don't know, like, I just honestly don't feel like deep down inside a black woman would ever actually want or desire, crave, or wish to have a white man or an Asian man, a Mexican man, a Muslim man, an Indian man, a Native American man, or whatever other race of man. I really do not believe, well, at least we're not most of them, at the end of the day, deep down inside, I don't think they want any other man but black men. They want them to come around. And those are all the reasons why I'll probably never date or marry a black woman. But let me know what you all think in the comment section down below. I'm out.